So I wanted to make this tutorial to demonstrate the juggle potential for Zenless Zone Zero. I've been playing this game for about 8 months now and have made 99 juggle combos total as of recording this video. I've noticed through some of the questions I've gotten in the comments that there isn't really a tutorial on explaining what a juggle is or how to do one with characters. Hence why I decided to make this video to assist newer players or existing players in doing juggle combos. I've broken this tutorial up into several chapters that you can skip through. I've included training room settings, as these can influence how you approach juggles in Zenless Zone Zero. I've also split it between single character juggles, which are basic, and character switch juggles, which are advanced and require very specific timing with character switch in order to pull off effectively. Next, I'll be explaining how to maintain juggles indefinitely. There are a few ways one can achieve this in Zenless Zone Zero, so I want to make sure I catalog the ones that I'm currently familiar with at this time. After that, I'll actually be talking about unique juggles in Zenless Zone Zero. I don't typically follow the conditions outlined in basic or advanced. Who can juggle in this game? As of version 1.6, given this is a gacha game, this list will likely expand as the game introduces new characters. However, I'm hoping by the end of this tutorial, whoever is watching will be able to figure out how to do juggles with any new character that's introduced in the later updates. I'll be introducing labbing as a method of practice when trying to figure out how to do juggles with newer characters for future and existing players. Why even do this? Followed by a freestyle combo showcase from some of my combo mats, and then closing with some final thoughts. The training room in this game is very reminiscent of Devil May Cry 5's Void training, where you can spawn enemies, practice strings, and give infinite health to enemies. I want to focus on these training features and how they relate to juggling. Enemy type is self-explanatory, as it gives you the ability to choose which enemies to juggle with. Only small enemies can be juggled. Large enemies have no juggler properties. Moving enemies means the enemy AI is on. Some enemies have a limit to how long you can juggle them for and will fall out of a juggle combo. You can enable this if you want to mess around with that in your juggle combos. Enemy invulnerability should be enabled in order to do infinite juggles without the enemy dying partway through your combo. Stunnable enemies is if you want to utilize switch attacks as part of your juggle combos. You can disable this feature, as most switch attacks will restand the enemy. However, with manual mode on, you can simply press dash to cancel out of the switch attack enemy or hold a button to make the switch attack not come out. Enemy level is dependent on how fast you want to achieve stun or kill the enemy if you disable the enemy invulnerability. The three interesting features are character unlimited energy, character unlimited assist points, and character unlimited decibels. Character unlimited energy, as it states, essentially means that you no longer have to build up energy with your stated character. Unlimited assist points means that you can do switch attacks as often as you want while training. And character unlimited decibels means you can pull out your supers at any time you want to. Enabling these will allow you more freedom in expressing creativity in the training room for juggles at the expense of applicability in live encounters of freestyle. With that being said, I play with all three of these enabled as I want a higher level of creative expression when creating juggle combos in this game. A launch juggle is simply a move that launches the enemy, and you can start a juggle on that enemy. I'll be using Anby as a demonstration. By pressing the special attack button, she will launch the enemy, assuming you do not have full energy. Once the enemy is in the launch state, as defined here, you can start her basic attack string and she will start a juggle. All you must do now is simply press the attack button to maintain the juggle. Note: if Anby has full energy and is by herself, you cannot initiate a launch juggle. I'll be explaining this in the advanced section of the character switch juggles. Now, if you let Anby's entire basic attack string play out, she will knock the enemy away, and thus you've lost your juggle. This is known as a knockback. A knockback is a move that knocks the enemy away, and given that the enemy has flown backwards, no amount of mashing the attack button will allow you to disrupt the juggle again. This can be incredibly frustrating. However, in Zenless Zone Zero, there is a move you can do to cancel out of the knockback with Anby. That move is called the dash cancel. The dash in Zenless Zone Zero is a partial omni cancel. What this means is that the dash can be done in sequence to your attack string to cancel out of a move. If this is done before the final hit of Anby's knockback, Anby's attack string will reset back to the first hit. Thus you can maintain your juggle. With this knowledge, I will be doing a demonstration with dash cancel. I initiate the launch juggle, start Anby's basic attack string, and right before the final hit lands, I input a dash and cancel the knockback, thus restarting her attack string again. The neat part of dash canceling is that it can be done at any point of the combo string sequence. After the first attack, dash cancel, back to the first attack, after the second attack, after the third attack, etc. As long as the dash is inputted before the enemy falls on the ground, you can do this indefinitely with Anby. If you want to be really fancy, you can even re-catch the enemy with Anby as it's knocked back by following with a dash and restarting your juggle. You get extra cool points for doing this one. There is a cooldown of the dash if you use it twice in a row. However, with proper timing and practice, you will never be in a situation where this will be an issue. In addition, the dash in Zenless Zone Zero is directional. What this means is that you can input a direction on the left joystick as you're inputting the dash, and the dash will go in that direction. If you input a left input on the left joystick and dash at the same time, Anby will go to the left. If you input right on the left joystick and dash at the same time, Anby will go to the right, will dash to the right. This allows you to do some interesting 3D dash movement for the characters in this game. Now that we've covered the basic juggle tech, it's time to move on to the advanced section.
In position. Right. Take a break, Nicole.
The tech described in the advanced section requires some very specific timing on character switch to initiate juggles. There will likely be quite a bit of trial and error involved if you're trying to practice these juggles. Be patient. All things come with enough dedicated practice. Anby's fully charged special attack cannot be dash cancelled, as discussed in the basic section. However, Zenless Zone Zero allows you to play with up to 3 characters at a time. This is where the character switch juggles come into play. The way this works is that in Zenless Zone Zero, characters will complete the entirety of their attack animations before leaving the field. If you initiate Anby's special EX attack, she will launch herself in the air. As soon as she initiates this move, you can switch to another character with the character switch button. Once the new character is on the field, you want to make sure they do an attack that allows them to initiate a juggle. I'll be using Anby and Soldier 11 as an example. I've disabled stunnable enemies for now. Once I initiate Anby's special EX attack, I will swap in Soldier 11. Once Soldier 11 is on the field, I will do a basic attack and initiate a juggle before the enemy lands on the ground.
Be gone! Roger.
The timing for launch character switch juggles can be tricky, as if you're too early on the character switch, the enemy will land on the ground because your attack will miss. If you're too late on the character switch, the enemy will fall on the ground because your move simply wasn't fast enough. Now, there are some moves that characters do that cause knockbacks that cannot be dash cancelled. This is due to it being a commit animation. However, with character switch, we can achieve a juggle even with these types of moves. I'll be using Nicole and Anby as an example. Nicole's charge basic attack will knock the enemy backwards. However, the knockback is too far for Nicole to dash cancel and catch the enemy to initiate a juggle. However, with character switch, I can call in A and B during Nicole's attack and start a juggle.
Okay. Roger.
This one can be tricky to get, as Nicole's attack has a delay before the explosion knocks the enemy away. When calling in another character, you must ensure the character's attack catches the enemy while Nicole is still on the field. You will see success if the enemy is in the juggle state. When the enemy lands on the ground normally, it means you've dropped your juggle combo, and thus you have to initiate a juggle again. There are some moves that will launch the enemy and then do a follow-up downward attack that grounds the enemy. This is known as a restand. Normally, this is unjuggleable. However, with character switch, even these attacks can be juggled. I'll be using Yanagi and Anby as an example. I'll be using one of Yanagi's stances that has a launcher. By pressing her basic attack in sequence enough times, Yanagi will launch the enemy in the air and then do a follow-up that restands the enemy. Normally, this would be unjuggleable. However, when Yanagi launches the enemy, I'll be swapping in Anby and starting her basic attack string. If timed properly, even though Yanagi completes her attack intending to restand the enemy, because Anby is attacking the enemy at the same time, the restand was cancelled, and thus the enemy has entered the juggle state.
Copy that.
This can be extremely finicky to pull off and requires quite a bit of practice and failed attempts before being able to pull off semi-consistently. It is doable with enough dedicated practice though. Now that we've covered how to do juggles, I want to spend some time describing how to maintain juggles indefinitely. With enough practice, you can maintain juggles forever. The only limitation is your hands and your controller. As mentioned prior, the dash cancel is a partial omni cancel. As long as you input the dash before a character does an attack that restands or knocks the enemy away, you can maintain juggles indefinitely. You can also character swap during juggles. Character swaps can be done at any point besides a switch attack or ultimate. If you input the character swap before the enemy restands or is knocked back, you can maintain the juggle. The neat thing about character swap is that you can rotate between left or right depending on your character assignment and can mix up juggle strings this way without solely relying on the dash cancel. It turns out a few of the characters in Zenless Zone Zero can keep juggling with their switch attack. A switch attack is achieved by building up stun on an enemy, and once the enemy is in the stun state, you can do a switch attack. Most switch attacks take too long to come out, and thus the enemy enters the restand state. However, there are a few characters that can maintain the juggle state with their switch attack. Miyabi is a good example of this one. Her switch attack comes out fairly quickly and keeps the enemy in the juggle state, as shown here. Switch attacks are full commit animations. Once you initiate one, you cannot cancel out of it. However, if you're fast enough following the switch attack, you can do Miyabi's special EX attack, fully charged, to catch the enemy and maintain the juggle, as demonstrated here. As more characters are introduced, this is something to keep in mind when trying to maintain juggles. From my labbing experience, Miyabi, Zuyun, and Soldier Zero Anbi switch attacks keep the enemy in the juggle state. Some of these will also be dependent on how high the enemy is off the ground too. This section focuses on juggles that don't typically follow the single character or character swap format in Basic or Advanced. I separated out here to not confuse terminology. I expect this section to evolve as more characters are introduced in Zenless Zone Zero and later updates. In Zenless Zone Zero, if you perform a character swap during an enemy attack perfectly, you get a counter animation. Normally, these counters do not juggle the enemy, with one exception, Zuyun. It turns out, Zuyun's perfect switch counter actually puts the enemy into the juggle state. What this means is that Zuyun can initiate juggles in your team by simply turning the enemy AI on and swapping to her during the yellow flash of the enemy attack. This will use one of your switch attack counters if you do this during a live encounter, but this is something to consider when practicing juggle combos or coming up with your own. A perfect dodge in Zenless Zone Zero slows down time, similar to Witch Time from Bayonetta. The follow-up attack following the perfect dodge normally does not launch the enemy, with one exception. Qingxi. Qingxi's perfect dodge follow-up attack launches and restands the enemy. If timed properly, you can dodge the enemy with Qingxi and swap to another character before she restands the enemy.
Roger that.
An assist follow-up can be initiated if you're using a support character. All assist attacks do is allow for characters to do the perfect dodge follow-up attack without having to perfect dodge. It's a way for you to proactively engage with these moves without having to rely on the defensive approach of waiting for an attack to come out. As they mimic perfect dodge counters, Qingxi once again launches and restands the enemy following an assist attack. You can swap in a character during this attack before Qingxi restands the enemy.
Understood.
It turns out some of the ultimates in Zenless Zone Zero can launch the enemy and have them enter the juggle state. So far, from my labbing experience in version 1.6, Yanagi and Evelyn are the two that can do this.
Your journey ends with me.
Standing by. Good. Enemies of substances shall pay.
This one is rather niche as it's only applicable to Qingxi, as Qingxi's basic attack allows her to enter the electric baton state where she continuously hits the ground. You can actually dash cancel with this move indefinitely while also inputting a direction. It turns out that in addition to that, if you input a dash cancel at least once and you are locked onto an enemy, Ching-Shi will do a follow-up launch plus freestand attack. That specific launch can be dash cancelled before Ching-Shi restands the enemy, despite Ching-Shi being in the air. What this means is that Ching-Shi can initiate an infinite juggle by herself with no other characters.
You red-handed. Yeah.
Another rather niche one. It turns out Evelyn's switch attack also launches the enemy. You can initiate a juggle with Evelyn if you're fast enough.
Copy that.
I won't betray your trust.
As of version 1.6, the characters that can initiate juggles in Zenless Zone Zero, either by themselves or with character swap, are Andy, Nicole, Ching-Shi, Zuyun,
Standing by.
Yanagi,
Copy that.
Ben,
Standing by.
Jane, Piper, Sokaku,
Say no more.
Light, Leica,
Alrighty.
and Evelyn.
There it is.
I'll take over now.
I want to introduce labbing as a method of practice. Since Zenless Zone Zero offers a training room and has an approach to combat closer to a fighting game, practice is vital if you want to consistently achieve some of the juggles demonstrated in this tutorial. For context, I have made approximately 99 juggle combos as of making this video. However, each one of those juggle combos ranges anywhere between 30 minutes to several hours of effort, i.e. I have on average about 175 hours of just labbing time in practicing juggles and combos. This is the type of practice and dedication that's required if you want to do these juggles consistently and in live encounters or freestyle too. The other important part of labbing is that it lets you experiment with moves and juggles. If you think of an idea when trying things with characters, just try it in the lab or training room to see if it works out. A lot of the discoveries that I made in this tutorial were made with me going into the training room and asking myself questions such as, I wonder what would happen if I tried dashing during this move, or can switch attacks launch or maintain a juggle, or if this character does this action at this time, can I cancel that with a different attack and maintain a juggle? Do ultimates maintain juggles? This discovery process is really what I'm trying to convey here. There's a lot of experimenting involved in figuring these things out, and I advocate this for anyone who wants to make combo mats for action games. Try experimenting with stunnable enemies on or off, and also enemy AI on or off. See if you can work in enemy AI combos in your practice sessions as well. The beauty of approaching action games this way is that it's not dependent on the best gear or the best builds, or even the best characters, or even theory crafting. It's about fundamentally approaching combat from a different perspective, and that's something that can be trained. Because it looks cool. There's no other reason. Seriously. Zenless Zone Zero does not have a combo counter mode, nor does it have a style bar. The game will not reward you for doing juggle combos beyond making it so that small enemies cannot attack you while in the juggle state. The only reason I even made this tutorial is because I think keeping enemies in the juggle state is cool, and I wanted to make this video to hopefully help others who want to make juggle combos in this game. Now it's time for some combo and freestyle showcases. I took a mix of some older and newer stuff to demonstrate some of the potential this game has via juggle combos.
Roger that. Understood. Oh, the good. Flames. Oh, baby! Dance, dance! Not disappoint our customers. Orders up. As you will. The Presto K-22. Maximum firepower. Ready for a fiery scene! Press forward. Ready! No problem! Good work, Ledge!
I'm unstoppable!
Copy that. Okay.
Okay.
You ready? Roger that. Okay. Commence demolition! Prepare to burn!
Okay.
Ready! Roger. Time to go home. Fracture. One step further. Time to shine.
At your service.
As my master wishes. Roger. Copy that. Copy. Roger. Copy that. Copy.
Roger that.
Roger. Keep on. Copy
Standing by. In position. Roger.
Roger that.
Roger. Copy that.
Ready.
In position. Eliminating target. Roger.
Roger that.
That's all.
Don't gamble, kids. Seriously, Ambi and Nicole are some of the best jugglers in the game, and they're free to play. There's a lot of juggles and combos you can achieve with the different characters you throw in slot. If you do spend money on this game, ensure it's within your budget and don't let FOMO ruin your finances. With that out of the way, this game is awesome. There's a lot of neat tech, and overall, this game just feels really good to play. I made this tutorial with the intention of trying to introduce juggling as a concept and how to initiate or extend juggles. It wasn't meant to be completely exhaustive, so I may have overlooked something. With more characters being introduced, I actually anticipate some of these unique juggles will expand with each update. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a comment or a like. I support this channel with what I do as a day job just fine. However, if you like the videos I make, I do actually have a Ko-Fi that I put in the description if you want to support me on this channel. The donations are never necessary, but they're appreciated. Thanks, and I'll see you all next time.